I'm sitting in my founder's office, explaining database architecture to a young engineer named Elliot, when the door swings open without a knock. Julian Finch, our new CEO, hired just 3 months ago, walks in with Patricia from HR trailing behind him. The look on their faces tells me everything before Julian even opens his mouth. "Victoria," he says, not bothering to sit. "I'm afraid your role has become redundant. We're clearing out the old guard to make room for fresh thinking." The words hit me like ice water. Elliot's eyes widened. "I built this company from nothing 20 years ago. I coded the first version of our software in my apartment. And now this man, who's been here 12 weeks, is calling me obsolete. You have 10 minutes to collect your personal items," Patricia adds quietly, avoiding my gaze. "Security will escort you out." I stand slowly, keeping my face neutral even though my heart is pounding. 20 years of late nights, of believing in this vision, of building something that mattered. And it ends like this, in front of someone I was mentoring, with a stranger telling me I'm no longer needed. I gathered my few personal photos, a coffee mug my daughter made me, nothing more. Security waits by the door. As I walk through the main lobby for the last time, I catch my reflection in the glass doors. I look calm, composed. But inside, something cold and precise is already calculating my next move. My home is modern and serene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture, everything in its place. I pour myself a glass of water and stand at the window, letting the shock settle into something sharper. Then I walk to my study and open the vault hidden behind a bookshelf. Inside are server racks humming quietly, stacks of legal documents in fireproof boxes, and a secure terminal that isn't connected to any public network. I boot up the system and enter a 20-character password. My fingers are steady now, focused. The screen displays a single interface. Aegis Protocol, status, dormant. I created this protocol 5 years ago when the board first started talking about bringing in professional management. A failsafe. A way to protect what I'd built if things ever went wrong. I hover my cursor over the activation command. This will freeze all assets in the Horizon Innovation Fund, the $50 million fund that powers Julian's entire R&D department, his pet projects, and his grand plans for the future. The fund that everyone thinks belongs to the company. But it doesn't. It belongs to Vanguard Holdings, a private entity I control completely. I click Execute. The screen flashes green. Aegis Protocol active. All fund assets frozen. I lean back in my chair and take a slow breath. By tomorrow morning, Julian Finch is going to learn a very expensive lesson about doing his homework. The next morning, I'm sipping coffee and monitoring the secure backdoor I left in Ethereus's internal communications network, perfectly legal, since I designed the system and retained certain administrative rights as founder. The first signs of panic appear at 9:47 a.m. An urgent calendar invite pops up. Emergency CFO meeting. All debt heads. I pull up the audio feed just as the meeting starts. Julian's voice is confident, almost bored. "Let's keep this brief. I have a board presentation at 11. Then I hear rapid footsteps. The CFO, Marcus Webb, bursts into the room. I can hear the panic in his voice even through the compressed audio. "Julian, we have a massive problem. The Horizon Fund is frozen. Completely locked. I can't access a single dollar." Silence. Then Julian, "What do you mean, frozen?" "I mean the accounts are inaccessible. Payroll for the innovation team hits on Friday. We have 3 critical vendor payments due tomorrow. And the new AI research lab? We can't pay the contractors." More silence. When Julian speaks again, his voice has lost its casual confidence. "How is this possible? Who has authority to freeze those funds?" "I don't know. The fund is managed through some entity called Vanguard Holdings. I'm trying to reach their legal team now, but find out immediately. This is unacceptable." I smile into my coffee. Unacceptable. That's one word for it. Over the next 48 hours, I watch the chaos unfold like a carefully choreographed play. Julian tries to project calm in emails and meetings, but I can see the desperation creeping in. Employees are asking questions. Vendors are calling. But something else catches my attention. Late at night, Julian makes a phone call from his personal cell, not the company line. I can't access the audio, but I can see the metadata. The number traces to a secured line in San Francisco. I dig deeper, using resources most people don't know I have. The call connects to a private office belonging to Silas Thorne, a tech magnate known for hostile takeovers and corporate raids. My blood runs cold. This isn't just about Julian being an arrogant fool. This is coordinated. I pull up more communications data, carefully scanning encrypted messages that Julian thought were secure. Phrases jump out at me. Asset depreciation on schedule, acquisition readiness improving, resistance elements removed. Resistance elements. That's me. Julian wasn't hired to run Ethereus. He was hired to destroy it from the inside, making it vulnerable for Silas Thorne to swoop in and acquire the company at a fraction of its value. I sit back, staring at the evidence on my screen. This is bigger than I thought, and it's going to require a much bigger response. I spend the next week tracing every communication between Julian and Silas Thorne. The pattern is clear and damning. Julian has been systematically destabilizing the company. Firing key personnel, canceling strategic partnerships, making reckless decisions that tank employee morale, all while reporting progress to Thorne like a soldier updating his commander. I compile everything into a secure file, screenshots, phone records, financial transfers. Julian received a $2 million consulting fee from a shell company Thorne controls, paid just weeks before he joined Ethereus. This isn't corporate politics. This is sabotage. Possibly even securities fraud. But I'm not ready to reveal this yet. First, I need to secure my allies. I make a list of people I trust, VPs and senior engineers who helped build this company, many of whom Julian has pushed aside or forced out in recent months. People who understand what Ethereus was supposed to be. Then I remember something crucial. 20 years ago, when we were just starting out and equity was all we could offer, I created founders packs with my earliest team members. Loyalty agreements that granted massive equity bonuses if they ever left to follow me to a new venture. At the time, it seemed like a romantic gesture. A promise that we'd always be a team. Now, it's a nuclear option. I start making calls. The first person I call is Gideon Ross, my original CTO. He left Ethereus 6 months ago after Julian publicly humiliated him in a board meeting. Victoria, he says when he answers, his voice warm but cautious. I heard what happened. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be ready. I explain the situation, Julian, Thorne, the whole conspiracy. Then I remind him about the founders pact he signed in our tiny office above a coffee shop, back when we thought we'd never make it. If you leave Ethereus to join a new venture I'm founding, you immediately vest in equity worth approximately $4 million. And you won't be alone. I'm calling everyone. There's a long pause. Then, what's the new company called? Sterling Foundries. And we're about to change everything. I'm in. When do we start? Monday. I made 11 more calls that day. Every single person says yes. Some cry. Some laugh. All of them are angry about what Julian's done to the company we built together. By Sunday night, I have commitments from 20 of Ethereus's most critical people, the engineers who know our systems inside and out, the executives who built our client relationships, the designers who created our brand. On Monday morning, they're all going to resign. Together. And the world is going to watch Ethereus collapse. Monday, 9 a.m. I'm watching the news feeds and internal communications from my home office. Right on schedule, 20 resignation emails hit Julian's inbox simultaneously. Each one is identical. Per the founders' pact clause in my original employment agreement, I am resigning effective immediately to join Sterling Foundries, a new venture led by founder Victoria Sterling. I watch the company's internal chat explode with confusion. Employees are asking what's happening. Managers are panicking. Within 30 minutes, every major tech news outlet has picked up the story. Mass exodus at Ethereus Technologies. Founder Victoria Sterling launches competitor, takes key talent, Ethereum stock plummets 40% in morning trading. Julian tries to spin it in an emergency all-hands meeting. I listen to the audio feed. His voice is shaking despite his attempts at confidence. This is a coordinated attack by someone who couldn't accept that the company had outgrown her vision. We will rebuild, stronger than before. But the stock doesn't care about his speeches. By market close, Ethereum has lost nearly $2 billion in valuation. I should feel triumphant. Instead, I feel something colder, more calculating, because this is just the beginning. Julian's legal team moves fast. By Tuesday afternoon, they've filed an emergency injunction trying to block my former employees from working at Sterling Foundries, claiming theft of trade secrets and breach of contract. I almost feel bad for them. They have no idea what they're about to discover. The hearing is set for Thursday. My attorney, Rebecca Chun, meets me at my home office to prepare. She's smiling in a way that makes me think she already knows what's coming. They're going to argue that your people are taking proprietary technology with them, she says. But here's where it gets interesting. She pulls up a document on her tablet. I've been reviewing Ethereum's core technology stack, the Ethereum core system that everything runs on. According to their own technical documentation, they don't actually own it. No, I say calmly. They don't. Vanguard Holdings does. And Vanguard Holdings licenses it to them, with a revocation clause. Rebecca's smile widens. You're telling me that the entire foundation of their company, the technology that everything else is built on, can be taken away? With 30 days notice, yes. Why 30 days? Professional courtesy, I say. I'm not a monster. Just someone who did her homework. Rebecca laughs, actually laughs. This is beautiful. When do you want to deliver the notice? Let's wait until after the hearing. Let them feel confident first. The hearing doesn't go well for Julian. Rebecca calmly explains that every person who left did so according to legal agreements signed years ago. No trade secrets were stolen because my people are simply exercising their contractual rights. The judge seems skeptical of Ethereum's claims. But Julian's lawyers push harder, arguing that I'm deliberately destroying the company. That's when Rebecca drops the bomb. Your Honor, I'd like to submit evidence that Ethereum Technologies does not own its core technology. It is licensed from Vanguard Holdings, an entity controlled by Ms. Sterling. The license agreement includes a 30-day revocation clause for gross mismanagement. The courtroom goes silent. Julian's lead attorney goes pale. Ms. Sterling has every right to revoke that license if she determines the company is being mismanaged, which, given the 40% stock drop and mass employee exodus, seems like a reasonable determination. The judge looks at Julian's team. Is this true? After a whispered conference, the lead attorney admits, the licensing arrangement exists, yes. Then this hearing is over. The injunction is denied. Ms. Sterling's former employees are free to work where they choose. I don't smile. I don't celebrate. I simply nod to Rebecca and leave. That afternoon, my legal team delivered the notice to Ethereum's board. License for Ethereum's core technology will be revoked in 30 days due to gross mismanagement and failure to uphold founding principles. The stock drops another 20%. The emergency board meeting happens within hours. I'm not there, of course, but I have sources who feed me every detail. Julian tries to control the narrative, but the board isn't listening anymore. They're staring at financial projections showing the company will essentially cease to function without the core technology. One board member, Catherine Liu, stands up and points directly at Julian. You told us Victoria Sterling was obsolete, that her vision was outdated. You didn't mention that she literally owns the technology our entire business runs on. I wasn't aware. Julian starts. You weren't aware? You fired the founder of the company without doing basic due diligence. Another board member chimes in. Our stock is in free fall. Half our talent just left. And now we're facing existential collapse because you pissed off the one person who could destroy us. Julian tries to blame me, painting me as vindictive and petty. But the numbers don't lie. The company is dying, and he's holding the knife. By the end of the meeting, Julian is stripped of operational authority. He remains CEO in name only, while the board scrambles to find a solution. But there is no solution. Not one that doesn't go through me. And I'm just getting started. Silas Thorne finally makes his move. On Friday, exactly 1 week after the mass exodus, he announced a hostile takeover bid for Etherius Technologies. The offer is insultingly low, barely a third of what the company was worth before Julian started dismantling it. But given the current chaos, some analysts say it's actually generous. The tech press has a field day. Thorne swoops in to save Etherius, and hostile takeover bid could be company's last hope. I read the coverage with cold satisfaction. Thorne thinks he's won. He engineered this whole situation, planted Julian, destroyed the company's value, and now he's moving in for the kill. But he made one critical mistake. He assumed I didn't know about his involvement. I call Rebecca. Time for phase 2. The stock acquisition?
Yes.
And we need to move fast before Thorne realizes what's happening. I have shell companies set up, layers of corporate entities that are technically legal but nearly impossible to trace back to me quickly. While everyone is focused on Thorne's very loud, very public takeover bid, I'm going to quietly buy up the plummeting stock. It's risky. It's expensive. But if I can acquire enough shares before anyone notices, I can block Thorne's takeover and potentially take control myself. Start the acquisitions, I tell Rebecca. Small amounts through different entities. Nothing that triggers SEC reporting requirements individually. You're going to take back your company, she says. I'm going to take back what's mine. Over the next 10 days, my shell companies systematically purchase Etherius stock. The price is in free fall, which actually works in my favor. Every share I buy is cheaper than the last. I use 6 different corporate entities, each purchasing small blocks of stock that don't trigger public disclosure requirements. To anyone watching, it just looks like opportunistic investors betting on a possible Thorne buyout. By day 11, I control approximately 15% of the company. Not enough for control, but enough to be significant. Then Thorne's team makes a mistake. They filed an amended takeover proposal that would dilute existing shareholders to strengthen Thorne's position. It's technically legal, but it's aggressive. The board, desperate to maintain some leverage, announces they're considering a poison pill defense, a mechanism that would make the takeover prohibitively expensive for Thorne. That's when I make my move. Rebecca files a challenge to the poison pill on behalf of my shell companies, arguing that it unfairly prevents all shareholders, not just Thorne, from acquiring stock. It's a legal mess. Both sides are blocked while courts sort out. And during this gridlock, I keep buying. Quietly. Carefully. Getting closer and closer to the magic number, 51%. I'm so focused on the acquisition strategy that I almost missed the warning sign. Elliot, the young engineer I was mentoring when Julian fired me, calls me on a Tuesday evening.
Victoria?
I need to tell you something. His voice is shaking. I can hear the guilt. What is it, Elliot? Julian reached out to me. He said you were going to destroy the company out of spite. He said the employees still there would lose everything. He asked me to help. My stomach drops. Help how? He wanted me to tell him what you're planning. He said it was to protect the workers. And did you? Silence. Then, quietly, yes.
I'm sorry.
I thought I was doing the right thing. I closed my eyes. This is my fault. I trusted him too quickly, shared too much about my early strategy before the exodus. What exactly did you tell him? I ask, keeping my voice calm. He explains. It's not catastrophic, but it's enough. He gave Julian information about one of my shell companies, thinking it would help save people's jobs. Thank you for telling me, I say. That took courage. You're not angry? Oh, I'm angry. But not at you. You were manipulated. Now, here's what you're going to do.
Don't tell Julian you called me.
Act normal. And if he asks you for more information, call me first.
Can you do that? Yes.
I promise. I hang up and immediately call Rebecca. We have a leak. One of my shell companies is compromised. Which one? I told her. She curses softly. That's the entity that was supposed to make a major purchase this week. Can we route it through a different one? Yes, but we'll lose time. And Julian might figure out the pattern. I stare at the city lights through my window. For the first time since this started, I feel uncertain. Then I realize something. Elliot's betrayal isn't a weakness. It's an opportunity. Rebecca, I have a different idea. What if we use the compromised shell company to feed Julian false information? She's quiet for a moment, then laughs. You want to turn your leak into a weapon?
Exactly.
Let's show Julian what he wants to see and blind him to what we're really doing. I spend the next 3 days carefully orchestrating disinformation. Through the compromised shell company, I create the appearance of preparing for a massive stock purchase. Paperwork, bank transfers, legal filings. Everything designed to look legitimate. Meanwhile, my other 5 entities continue quietly accumulating shares through completely different channels. Julian takes the bait. I watch through my backdoor access as he and Thorne frantically work to block my main shell company from completing the purchase they think is coming. They succeed. Using some creative legal maneuvering and emergency court filings, they temporarily freeze the compromised entity's ability to purchase stock. Julian's internal email to his team is triumphant. We've successfully blocked Victoria's primary acquisition vehicle. This should give us the breathing room we need. I almost feel bad for how badly he's misread the situation. Almost. Because while he's celebrating blocking 15% of my strategy, the other 85% is still running smoothly. My real shell companies purchased another 8% of Ethereum stock that same week. I'm now at 23% ownership. And nobody knows except me and Rebecca. The game escalates. Thorne, emboldened by blocking my main shell company, makes an aggressive move. He starts purchasing stock directly through his own entities, trying to race to 51% before anyone else can. It becomes a 3-way battle. Thorne buying openly, me buying secretly, and the board trying to maintain control while everything burns around them. Then Thorne makes his fatal mistake. He gets greedy. To finance his aggressive purchasing strategy, he leverages his other companies, taking on massive debt. He's betting everything on acquiring Ethereum, integrating it with his existing tech empire, and coming out ahead. It's the kind of high-risk move that either makes you a genius or destroys you. There's no middle ground. I see the vulnerability immediately. If I can make his bet fail, I don't just block his takeover. I potentially damage his entire financial position. I call a contact I've cultivated over the years, a financial journalist named Harrison Cole, who's been covering Silicon Valley for 20 years. Harrison, I have a story for you, but you need to sit on it until I say publish. What kind of story? The kind that brings down Silas Thorne. I sent him everything. The encrypted communications between Thorne and Julian. The evidence of coordination to destroy Ethereum's value. The shell company that paid Julian $2 million. It's not quite enough for criminal charges, but it's more than enough to trigger a SEC investigation. And in the financial world, an investigation is almost as damaging as a conviction. When do you want me to publish? Harrison asks. I'll let you know. Soon. 3 days later, Thorne's aggressive stock purchases pushed him to approximately 35% ownership. He's gaining ground, but so am I. My 5 remaining shell companies now control 32%. It's time to spring the trap. Harrison, I say on the phone. Publish it. All of it. You're sure? Completely. The story goes live at 6 a.m. Eastern. Hostile takeover or hostile conspiracy. Evidence suggests coordinated effort to tank Ethereum technologies. The article lays out everything: Julian's payments from Thorne's shell companies, the encrypted communications, the systematic destruction of company value. It stops just short of accusing them of securities fraud, but the implication is clear. By 9 a.m., the SEC announces it's opening an investigation into potential market manipulation and corporate sabotage at Ethereum Technologies. Silas Thorne is specifically named. By 10 a.m., Thorne's assets are frozen pending the investigation. He can't purchase more stock. He can't complete his takeover. He's locked in place at 35%. The stock price, already devastated, drops another 15% on the chaos. Which means my money goes even further. I instruct my shell companies to purchase aggressively. We're past the point of subtlety now. Over the next 48 hours, I acquired another 21% of Ethereus Technologies. Total ownership, 53%. I control the company. Legally.
Completely.
And nobody saw it coming. I don't announce my majority ownership immediately. First, I want to clean the house. I scheduled a board meeting for Monday morning. The invitation is simple. Discussion of company ownership and future direction. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing a tailored navy suit that I bought specifically for this moment. The board members are already there, looking exhausted and defeated. I walk to the head of the table, the seat that's been empty since Julian was stripped of authority, and I place a leather folder in front of me. Catherine Liu speaks first. Victoria, thank you for coming. We wanted to discuss potential paths forward, including possibly negotiating the return of the core technology license. That won't be necessary. I interrupt gently. I open the folder and distribute copies of a document to each board member. This is documentation proving that I, through various holding companies, now own 53% of Ethereus Technologies. Effective immediately, I am exercising my rights as majority shareholder. The silence is profound. I watch their faces process the information, shock, confusion, then slow understanding. The board is dismissed. I continue calmly. Your services are no longer required. You'll each receive generous severance packages and my thanks for your years of service. But your tenure ends today. Catherine's eyes fill with tears, not of sadness, I think, but of relief. You're taking back the company.
Yes.
Because it was always mine. After the board leaves, I have one final piece of business. I walk to Julian's office, the office that used to be mine, and knock once before entering. He's at the desk, staring at his computer screen with the hollow eyes of someone watching their world collapse. When he sees me, something like fear crosses his face. Get out, he says, but his voice has no strength. I close the door behind me and sit in the chair across from him. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. You have a choice, I finally say. You can resign quietly. I'll give you 3 months severance, a neutral reference, and your reputation stays mostly intact. Or I can sue you for breach of fiduciary duty, conspiracy, and fraud. I have evidence of your coordination with Silas Thorne. I have the paper trail. And I have very expensive lawyers. You can't prove anything, he says, but he doesn't sound convinced. I can prove enough to destroy your career and potentially put you in prison. The SEC is already investigating Thorne. How long before they come for you? He slumps in the chair. All the arrogance, all the smugness from that day, he fired me. It's gone. He's just a man who made a terrible bet and lost. If I resign, you leave today. Quietly. And we never speak again. He stares at his desk for a long time. Then, slowly, he reaches for a pen and paper. 15 minutes later, I received his resignation letter. He leaves through the side entrance, carrying a small box of personal items. I will never see him again. The press release goes out at 3 p.m. Ethereus Technologies reacquired by founder Victoria Sterling. Company to return to core values and original vision. The response is immediate and overwhelming. Tech blogs explode with analysis. The stock price, finally, starts to recover. Employees still at the company flood internal chat with messages ranging from relief to celebration. I scheduled an all-hands meeting for the next morning. I need to address everyone, to explain what happens next. That night, I barely slept. Not from stress, but from planning. I have so much to rebuild, so much to fix. But I'm not worried. I built this company once.
I can do it again.
The all-hands meeting is in the main auditorium. Every seat is filled, and more people stand in the back. I walk onto the stage to a standing ovation that takes me completely by surprise. I wait for it to die down, then speak into the microphone. 3 months ago, I was fired from this company. The company I founded. The company I gave 20 years of my life to building. I let that sink in. I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt.
It did.
But what hurt more was watching someone systematically destroy what we built together. Not through innovation or vision, but through sabotage and greed. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. That ends today. I'm back. Not as some figurehead or advisor, but as CEO and majority owner. And the first thing I'm doing is reinstating the original founders' packs. Gasps of surprise. People who left are in the audience, having already been invited back. Everyone who left to join Sterling Foundries is welcome to return, with full equity vesting and back pay for time lost. The Horizon Innovation Fund is unfrozen as of this morning, and we're going to rebuild this company the right way. The applause is deafening. I see people crying, hugging, celebrating. For the first time in months, I smile. Really smile. Over the next month, the transformation is remarkable. Key talent returns. Projects restart. The toxic culture Julian created begins to fade as people remember why they came to work here in the first place. I moved back into my old office, my founder's office. It feels right in a way nothing has felt in years. Gideon returns as CTO. Others take their old positions. It's like rewinding time, except we're older, wiser, and much more careful about who we trust. The stock slowly recovers. It'll take time to get back to where we were, but we're heading in the right direction. One afternoon, I received a letter. The return address is unfamiliar. Inside is a handwritten note from Elliot. Victoria, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this. I was wrong to betray your trust. Julian manipulated me, but that's not an excuse. I made a choice, and it was the wrong one. I've been blacklisted from most tech companies because of my association with Julian's disaster. I deserve it, but I wanted you to know that I learned something from all of this. Loyalty matters. Trust matters. And you can't build anything real without them. I hope someday I'll have a chance to prove I understand that now. Thank you for everything you tried to teach me. I should have listened better. Elliot. I read it 3 times. He's right. He did betray my trust. But he's also young and was manipulated by someone much more experienced in deception. I will write a brief reply. I don't offer him a job, but I acknowledge his apology and wish him well. Some mistakes you learn from, some bridges you rebuild, but not all of them. And that's okay too. A year passes. Ethereus is thriving again. We've released new products, signed major clients, and our stock is approaching its pre-Julian heights. Silas Thorne's case with the SEC drags on. His empire has taken serious damage from the investigation. Julian disappeared from the industry entirely. Last I heard, he's working in real estate in Florida. I don't think about them much anymore. Instead, I focus on building,
On teaching.
on creating something sustainable. I've started mentoring again, carefully, with better judgment this time. A small group of young engineers meet with me every week in my office. We talk about code, about culture, about what it really means to build something that lasts. One of them asks, how do you protect yourself from people who want to destroy what you've built? I think about the Aegis Protocol, the founders' packs, the years of careful legal preparation that nobody knew about. You do your homework, I say. You plan for the worst while hoping for the best. You protect what matters. And you never, ever, let someone else control the foundation of what you've created. But isn't that paranoid? Another engineer asks. Maybe. But I'm still here. And Julian isn't. They nod, taking notes.
Learning.
As the session winds down and the young engineers file out, I remain at my desk, looking out the window at the city skyline. The same view I had before Julian, before the chaos, before everything fell apart and came back together. But I'm different now. Harder in some ways. More cautious. Though maybe not harder. Maybe just clearer about what matters. I think about that moment when Julian fired me, when I felt powerless and discarded. I think about the rage that turned into cold calculation, the plan that unfolded exactly as I designed it. I don't regret it. But I don't celebrate it either. It was necessary. A surgical removal of a cancer that would have killed the company. The real victory isn't that I destroyed Julian and Thorne. It's that I saved what we built. The technology. The culture. The mission. Everything else was just tools to get here. My phone buzzes. It's Catherine Liu, the former board member who expressed relief when I took control. We've stayed in touch. She's been consulting with smaller startups now, and we grab coffee every few weeks. Dinner tonight. Her text reads, I want to introduce you to a founder who's in some trouble.
Sounds familiar.
I smile. Maybe I can help someone else avoid learning these lessons the hard way. Sure. I text back. My office at 6. Perfect. You're going to like her. That evening, as promised, Catherine arrives with a nervous young woman named Iris. She can't be more than 28, and she has the haunted look of someone watching their dream crumble. Thank you for seeing me, Iris says, shaking my hand. Her grip is firm despite the anxiety in her eyes. Tell me what's happening, I say, gesturing for her to sit. She explains. She founded a biotech startup 3 years ago. They recently brought in a new CEO with professional management experience. He's making changes she doesn't agree with, pushing her aside, taking credit for her innovations. It's a story I know too well. Do you have any protections in place? I ask. Control of intellectual property? Founders' rights in your corporate structure? She shakes her head miserably. I trusted the lawyers the investors recommended. They said it was all standard. It never is, I say gently. Standard for whom is the question you should have asked. I spend the next hour walking her through options. Some are legal, some are strategic, all are things I wish someone had told me years ago. Before she leaves, she asks, do you think I can save my company? I don't know, I answered honestly. But I know you can try. And if you can't save it, you can build something new. Something better. Something where you don't make the same mistakes. She nods, looking slightly less hopeless than when she arrived. After she's gone, Catherine lingers. You're good at this, she says. Teaching. I learned expensive lessons. Might as well help others avoid them. Is that what this year has been for you? An expensive lesson? I consider the question.
No.
It's been a reminder. The most innovative thing you can build isn't code or technology. It's a culture of respect. Everything else is just tools. Catherine smiles. You should write that down. Maybe I will. It's late evening now. The office is quiet, most people having gone home hours ago. I'm alone in my founder's office, the city lights twinkling below like stars. I think about the vault in my home, the Aegis protocol still active.
And ready.
I think about the founder's packs, now stronger and more comprehensive than before. I think about all the safeguards I've rebuilt, the lessons I've embedded into every contract, every agreement, every corporate structure. Some might call it paranoia. I call it wisdom. My daughter calls, she's in college now, studying computer science. Mom, I saw the article about Ethereus in Forbes. They called you the Phoenix founder. I laugh. I've been called worse. Are you happy? Like, really happy? Not just successful, but happy. It's a good question. The kind only your child asks. Yes, I say, surprised by how true it feels. I am. I built something that matters. I protected it when it was threatened. And now I'm teaching others to do the same. That's worth more than any valuation. I'm proud of you, she says quietly. Those 4 words mean more than any headline ever could. After we hang up, I stand at the window one last time before heading home. Tomorrow I have 3 board meetings, a product launch, and another mentoring session with my young engineers. But tonight, I allow myself this moment of reflection. I built this company twice. Once with naive optimism and endless energy. The second time with clear eyes and hard-won knowledge. Both were necessary. Both made me who I am. I grab my coat and head for the elevator, turning off the lights as I go. As the office falls into darkness, I think about what I'll tell my ments tomorrow. Remember, I'll say, the most innovative thing you can build is a culture of respect. Everything else is just code. And this time, they'll be starting with that knowledge from day one. They won't have to learn it the way I did, through betrayal and fire and clawing back what was stolen. They'll build it right from the beginning. And maybe that's the real legacy. Not the company I saved, but the founders I helped protect. The culture I preserved. The truth I'm passing forward. As I step into the cool night air, I feel something I haven't felt in years. Peace. Not the absence of conflict, but the presence of purpose. I built something that lasted. I protected something that mattered. And I'm teaching others to do the same. That's enough. That's everything. The glass doors closed behind me, reflecting the city lights like they did the day Julian fired me. But this time, when I look at my reflection, I don't see someone discarded. I saw someone who came home. And I'm never leaving again.